What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video, another tune, something very different today. This absolutely silly drift Commodore, which I absolutely love. I think it's amazing. It's perfect. It makes really want to do a Commodore drift car. This thing is just cool. It is just cool. Look at it. I love it. Love his coil wheels as well. Like a, yeah, I don't know what exactly they are, but they're sort of like a CR Kai rep. But obviously coils aren't reps. Yeah, anyway. And there's an extra spoke to a CR Kai, but just the design of wheel, I'm a big fan. Obviously he hasn't got them on the front because they're all tilty and wide. Pretty sure he can't fit it on his trailer with wide wheels on the front because of how big the front end is. So we've got a pretty wild front end of this car. I think it's a full Showtime's custom, Showtime Customs. I don't know what they're actually called, but big lock, big camber, the whole shebang, MCA coilovers all around, AGI cage, OMP seat. As you can see, we're all Haltech controlled, which is freaking awesome. S1 sequential shifter. So, you know, the full 9 yards, IC7 to go with the Haltech. Electronic power steering, which is hidden down here in the footwell. So, you know, a pretty serious, very cool setup. And to top it all off, we've got ourselves a Pro-charged centrifugal supercharger on a stock bottom LS. I believe the owner, I think he said he's building a new engine for it at the moment, which is going to be a bit more silly. As for this one though, it is literally just a stock LS as far as we know. It's still got stock LS head bolts. So this is going to be somewhat of an experiment to see just how sort of much they can hold on to. Our rule of thumb is as soon as you start going for, you know, 500 horsepower plus, ARP head bolts, not necessarily head studs. They're a bit over the top still for that power, and bolts are a lot cheaper. But we have not actually ever tried to push stock GM head bolts this far. We've always had a suspicion that we reckon that they'd probably go further. But obviously when we're building engines for, you know, other people, customers, you got to be safe. You can't be playing right on the edge of things like that for other people. But we always wanted to test it for ourselves one day. Anyway, for this customer, obviously we didn't build the engine for him. He knows full well the risk, and we're just interested to see how far these stock head bolts will go. But anyway, very cool car, supercharged LS, nice and torquey with the S1 sequential shifter. This thing will be a powerhouse, and then obviously the actual car is set up really nice as well. I like it. As you can see, side pipes, we've got a 3-inch oval side pipe on each side, and then the owner has a complete V8 supercar aero to go on it. So it'll be dressed up basically as like a complete V8 supercar. And you know, all painted up, all finished up. This thing's just going to be a weapon. I absolutely love the setup. It's great. So this thing's going to be flex fuel. We're going to start with the 98 today. 98, he reckons with the pulley setup that's on it, should be around 14 pounds. So we'll just see how it goes with whatever cam's in it. Don't know anything about the cam. Righto, guys. So a few dramas. Travis, the owner, was out here today helping us out. Yeah. So the main thing, there's a few issues to work through. Overall, it's actually been quite good though, but the main thing is just the boost with the pulleys. So there are, obviously certain size pulleys are meant to be a certain amount of boost, but the crank pulley is actually not paired with the rest of the kit, if you know what I mean. So Travis used a LS1 crank pulley instead of the LS2 style that sort of came with the kit, and we're pretty sure the diameters must be a bit different for the crank. So it's just not seeing the boost that it's supposed to be. This top pulley should be around 14 pound. Is it 14 pound? 13 to 14 pound. But paired with this crank pulley, it's not. It's around 7. So just missing out on a bit of boost there. So Travis got to take it anyway and sort out a few things. The sump's actually got a little crack in it, which the oil leak is starting to get worse and worse. So he's got to fix that. So he's saying that if he's got to pull the engine out, he's just going to bring the engine to us and we're going to cam it. So if we do that, obviously we'll put ARP head bolts in it, then dual valve springs, all the good stuff. And after that, obviously can make a decent amount of power and a decent amount of boost. So it just depends whether he has to take it out of the car or not. So it may be back here for a cam and then back here again for the tune finalised, in which case we'll easily make our 600 and it'll be party time then.
It'll come out.
Yeah. It's probably what's going to happen. Otherwise, we'll see it back here a bit later once a few of these issues are sorted and we get this, Travis gets this crank pulley set up sorted and we can get some boost into this thing. But either way, it will be back. So far at the moment, just running it up, basically not leaning on it hard at all. 355 at around 7 pound in the end, so should be good with a cam and a bit more boost, but we'll see it back then. Righto guys, so what you just watched there was the start of that tune, which was now quite a few weeks ago, maybe even 2 months ago now. He decided while he was at it, he was just going to pull the motor out and bring it to us so that we could do one of our complete level 2 cam kits. So complete cam, valve spring, lifter, push rod upgrade, including ARP hardware, all new gaskets, etc. Basically a full top end rego. So it's here at the moment, ready for us to do that. So I just got to make a stand, get a stand sorted, and get this thing on a stand and start tearing it down. All right guys, important things first, we've removed the rockers so that we can give this thing a really nice big wash, as well as all the lume and stuff that was on it. Got the rockers soaking in a bucket of degreaser, got the engine soaking in degreaser. Give it all a nice big wash before we even start tearing it down. Always the nicest thing to do. Righto guys, so we're pulled down. It was just a stock cam after all, stock LS1 lifters, nothing of that has been changed. It did have a Mellings oil pump on it, which is cool, but basically everything else was pretty well bone stock in there. So I've got it pulled down. I've sort of cleaned up most of the things, but unfortunately this has fallen right as we move house, and I actually have to go away for a week. So Rex is going to end up finishing it off. But what we've actually got ready to go in this thing, as you can see, I've cleaned up his covers and his heads have been cleaned up. We just got to do the surfaces and stuff like that. So obviously it's getting ARP bolts because it's blown. We want to be able to hold a fair bit of horsepower. Dual row timing set. The cam we chose for this particular setup is actually the Crocam's 1287. So this is normally the sort of cam that we would put in like a tough street combo for rectangle ports. It's a 227, 244 on a 114 lobe center with I think about 610 lift on both. So it's a pretty angry little cam. Having that nice big exhaust duration and the fairly wide lobe center, we thought that it would actually be a really good candidate for a supercharged cathedral port as well. So that's what's going in this thing. And then obviously all our general other upgrades, ARP cam bolts, brand new GM cam plate.
Usual suspects.
Usual stuff. We got a CHE trunnion kit to go in the rockers. It'll get upgraded to 80 thou push rods, ARP crank bolt, you know, all of the general upgrades for our level 2 kit, which is what the customers purchased. So another cool thing that we found as well was that obviously when he did the Supercharged kit, he already pinned the crank. So the crank was double pinned, which is awesome. So that was one thing we talked about that we were going to do as well as we were pulling it down, and he was already way on top of that. So always a good idea to pin the crank. LSs from factory, the balancer, unless it's an LSA, but factory LSs that are aspirated, the balancer is only interference fit. There's no keyway, which means when you start loading up that balancer, driving something like a supercharger, you can put quite a bit of stress on it. And if it starts to turn the crank snout inside the balancer, you're gonna have issues because that's gonna generate a lot of heat really fast, and it does damage the crank snout. So we pin them, and it's just a matter of you use a guide and you drill through the crank and the balancer and you whack a pin in, and it just gives it that extra security so know the balancer's not gonna start turning on the crank snout. So cool that that's already done, so that'll go back in, but yeah, that's basically it. And then obviously he'll get the engine back after that, and she'll be all dandy. And then we'll see it back here to get the tune finished and see if we can crack that 600 horsepower mark. I reckon we can. I reckon we're cool. Righto guys, she's finally back. It's been a bit of a long wait. It's been a bit of time, but obviously the owner with working away and stuff like that. But it's finally back. So Rex ended up finishing off doing the cam kit when the motor was here last because I was not here. Rex finished all that off. It's got the 1287, all of our regular upgrades, and the owner sorted out the supercharger so that we actually have boost now. So yeah, it's time to actually finish the tune on this thing. Righto guys, wasn't here to film the 98 runs. I had to duck into town to send some stuff off, send some parts out, but it's going well. So with this combo, this charger with that pulley, with this cam in it now, it's making about 7 pounds of boost. So it's meant to be 14-pound pulley, but my assumption is that that's on a completely stock engine. Obviously now that we've got a cam in this thing that's actually allowing it to breathe, it's only about 7 pound of boost, but at that boost we are at 585 on 98. So, you know, the air's going in there. The air's getting in, it's eating the air. So 585 on 98. Honestly, we're, yeah, it's gonna make well over 600 on the E. Gonna have to just be very conservative with the timing and make sure these rods stay straight noodles. Stay dry spaghetti and don't turn to wet spaghetti. So yeah, but anyway, doing well. Good combo. Pretty happy with how this cam's behaving as we expected. yeah, it's behaving really well for this application. And this thing's happy. Sounds wicked too. I'll film some of the E-runs for you. Righto, boys and girls, that's pretty much this thing sorted. A few more runs just diluting the fuel back down to, well, from E85 back to closer to 98, closer to E0. But yeah, it's running awesome. So we ended up about 617 horsepower, that's where I pulled it up. In the interest of keeping these Gen 3 rods alive, that's still gonna be an absolute animal. This thing's gonna be freaking wild to drive on the track. So looking forward to getting it out there. So happy with the result. This cam is working awesome with this supercharger as we thought. It was definitely the right cam choice. Yeah, this thing's freaking wicked. So look out for this around your local tracks. You'll be getting around. Looking forward to seeing it out on track and just seeing how it drives. It's just gonna be wild. It's a wild car. It's a wild unit. Anyway guys, thanks for watching this one. Sorry this one was filmed so sporadically and spread out over so many weeks, but this car's been sort of an ongoing ordeal. I'm sure the owner's going to be absolutely stoked with the result and stoked to get it back and stoked to go drive it on track. I don't think he's done a skid in a long time, so looking forward to that. So thanks for watching guys. As always, see you on the next one. Peace out, see you, bye.